Guys, it's episode 2 of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I gotta say, the momentum has continued. In fact, I like this episode even better than the last episode. So I'm very happy to see that, as we go along here, this is one huge movie, coming from Justice League, Zack Snyder cut, 4 hours, 4 hours. Well, you know what? This one is 8 hours because each one feels like right when it ends, it's like, no. We are in the middle of it. Let's go do the thing. And we don't get to go do the thing. We get to wait another whole week. So, episode 2. In episode 2, what happens is they give a lot of depth to the Captain America character. The new Captain America.
Johnny Walker.
Still not sold on him.
Yeah, the bitter beer face would have called him, but then when I figured out who he was when he took his helmet off.
When he took it off because he looked so weird, I was like, wait a minute, I've seen this guy before. It's Wyatt Russell, Kurt Russell's son.
Yeah, the guy from Overlord.
Kurt Russell's son. Sir Kurt Russell, I apologize. I take back everything that it means.
To be fair, though,
he's got the chin. Now it makes sense. It makes sense. He's got the Kurt Russell look. Yeah, but he looks a little goofy in it, right? So that's like, I don't like you yet. I don't like you. Yeah. And then they trying to give him depth, and I'm like, okay, so this is an interesting angle. Usually, in these superhero movies, it's like, no, this guy's a bad guy, right? We don't get that here. We get, we get depth to him. He's worried that, he's reminiscing about old times. He's a 3-time Medal of Honor veteran, good guy, obviously, good combat experience and skills. Not a super soldier, though.
No.
This guy will die if you punch him very hard.
Or shoot him in the face.
Or shoot him in the... No, actually, I think his suit is bulletproof at the very least, so he might be able to survive a shot unless you shoot him in the teeth.
Shoot him in his very big chin, yeah.
His bad big target. Hey! I say Kurt Russell gonna kick our ass. I take it back. It's asshole.
Sneak.
Anyways, so I was like, you know what? From a drama standpoint, from an story standpoint, it's very interesting to try to give him depth. And it's like, well, fuck, I want to get the shield back, and at points, Bucky's like, let's go get this shield back. It's like, what am I supposed to do now? They've already replaced me. This guy's a good guy. We
can't just beat him up and take
I can't just beat him up and take. And they reference the time that they reference Civil War, which was cool. And so it adds a lot of depth to the show. What did you guys think of the episode?
Like you said, I did love the emotion with this, and especially whenever we meet Isley, one of the guys.
Isley?
Yeah.
Who's Isaiah?
Isaiah. Yeah, that was a great performance by him. It was great. I loved that one.
Yeah, I think this was a really the momentum kept going. It was exciting. I want to see more. We are approaching the first half. I'm like, oh, I really like this because I was worried before the series came out that there was going to be this conflict that I didn't buy. And the first half of this episode was like, this is perfect level of conflict. I buy that there's like they don't hate each other. They don't necessarily like each other.
They didn't force them to hate each other. They have mutual respect, but at the same time, they don't necessarily like
friends.
each other.
Yeah, they're not necessarily friends. Towards the end,
the trailers kind of tricked us. We thought it was gonna be like a buddy cop movie, and especially when they're inside of a interrogation room and they're like not liking each other. That scene happens here, and it is completely different from the way I thought it was going to be, but not for the worse, for the better or for the good. I thought it was very, very well done. So as we get into the story, we start to get some of the emotional hooks of the episode. That why does Bucky care so much about you shouldn't have given up the shield? We get that through the therapy session we'll talk about in a minute. The jokes have ramped up here too. Great comedy that said, we got to figure out who these people flag smashers are. They're probably part of the big three. But what are the big three, Joe?
Wizards, aliens,
and androids. And I'm like, wait a minute. That was like
those things wizards.
I'm like, what? No, none of the things the Avengers have fought. Well, actually, all of the things the Avengers have fought. But the thing is these are super soldiers, so they don't even fit into any of the three categories. But they don't know that yet. So, we get obviously finally we get Winter Soldier and Falcon meeting, and in this episode is where they're together. Winter Soldier wants to tag along to Falcon's mission, and he's like, "No, get out of here!" So he's not prepped for it. Doesn't have a parachute. Doesn't have nothing. Won't even tell him the plan. I like this kind of stuff. It's like, fine, you want to call him, you got. And then he just has
yourself.
Winter Soldier just has to jump out of the plane without a parachute. He uses his arm to go down all the trees and just slam onto the ground. He's got some super soldier serum in him, so he's fine. But, it's funny because Falcon's like, I got that all recorded with red ring. And so then they kind of, scout it out, and we get basically our first fight scene. Bucky wants to charge in there, just wants to fight, and Falcon definitely has a more intelligent approach, more like let me gather information rather than be the bruiser. So Bucky sort of defers to him when he realizes how many there are. He's like, I still don't care. Then they go to fight him, and they realize, okay, these are super soldiers. So I didn't even realize it until they got into the fight. At first, I thought, this is fucking lame. Falcon is getting his ass kicked. Bucky's getting his ass kicked. But when you really think about it, this is basically 8 Captain Americas that they're fighting. They're fighting 8 Captain Americas. Now, of course, each one of these individual people may not have the training that Captain America had in terms of fighting prowess. But some of them do. Some of them may do. So initially they think they have a hostage. And this is the character in the trailer I thought would not work at all. Turns out she works. And there's an excuse for it. There's a good reason. There's a fucking good reason. I was like, oh, here we go. Introduce this and introduce that, and it's not going to make sense. But no, it makes sense. So basically, they thought this little girl, because she's so innocent looking, she's so, young, small, timid. She looks.
I'm here to help you.
Yeah, and then she starts smiling, and you're like, uh-oh, here it comes. Bam! Locks him out with full super soldier strength. And so the fight begins. They're getting their asses kicked. Poor Red Wing is destroyed.
We can rebuild him. Luckily, it wasn't a real Falcon like you wanted.
Right, exactly. True.
Oh, no.
And more jokes. Bucky's like, I've always wanted to do that. And anyway, that girl. But, the line you could tell was put there for the trailer because the line didn't make sense. When Falcon comes down, he's like, that girl kicked your ass. And Bucky looks at him like, what? Yeah, and it's like,
you're about to die.
She just fucking kicked your ass, too.
Yeah.
I saw, in the trailer, you didn't see that Bucky had his ass kicked, too. Anyways, it's still funny because they're both getting their asses kicked. And then all of a sudden, boom. The new Captain America shows up on a helicopter, and then, he's throwing around the shield. And I was like, how's this guy going to fight? I was like, okay, he can throw around the shield. And you do a little bit of combat. But then, he shows up, and then a guy flies from a helicopter on a string, and he slams into something. I'm like, who the fuck was that? Yeah. Is that just normal soldiers? And it turns out that he has a sidekick, and this sidekick name is Battlestar. Bucky, but the new version of Bucky, and Bucky's like, all right, stop the car, I'm out of here. Right, but anyway, so they're fighting. All of them get their asses kicked, essentially. And
because none of them used guns.
Tried.
That's not true. Captain America did use guns, and that was weird to see Captain America using a pistol. But it's like, if the threat levels you think Captain America would go up against, you think they'd give him a sci-fi pistol, at least something that's a little
an assault rifle or something, because these guys aren't bulletproof.
All right. That's proven later on in the episode, but I'm pretty sure super soldiers are supposed to be bulletproof. So I don't know, or at least maybe these ones are a weaker version of Cap.
Probably.
Or some, because I thought that they were. But we see later on that's not the case. Anyways, so after they get their asses kicked, they're walking back, and they're like, that was a bad plan, and just talking, and here comes the new Captain America. Come on, guys, work with me, blah, blah, blah. I don't like this guy. Habit! I hate that guy. They hate this guy. And they're like, okay, the airport's 20 miles. So they get in there. And again, another really great scene. Banter, this conflict, the situations they put the character in. is just really, really good. The cool dynamic of these guys being overwhelmed. They're out of their element.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand. Like, just call a more powerful superhero.
Hey,
or
doctor,
something.
what are you doing?
But,
Do you have
they
like
don't
an
want
afternoon
to.
free?
They pretend as if they don't have that option in order to make the show work, and that's fine. And honestly, you should take care of your business up until the point where you can't, I guess. So that's just never spoken. But they need a better plan. They kind of try to get some.
They want to feel useful, right?
Yeah.
They don't want to be like, hey,
every
it's like,
time.
oh God, it's Falcon
Okay.
again.
Yeah.
Don't
Right.
answer. Don't answer.
His phone would be ringing off the hook all the time. You're right. All right, Joe. So anyway, the group of freedom fighters are kind of shown to be not. I mean, they might be villains. We're not 100% sure, but they have their own motivations.
They have their own beliefs.
They want to return the world to the pre-blip or blip.
Blip.
One of them.
That's
And so they're like, they have a saying, one world, one people. They very much believe in it. Normal people who are disenfranchised are helping them, so they essentially can have safe houses all across the world. And that's shown. This guy's cooking them this, and has blankets and stuff for them. And they get some text messages, like, you stole something from me, I'm going to kill you. So we realize this group isn't like the main group that did everything. This group is like an offshoot. They stole something, and then they're trying to get their objective done while simultaneously on the run from potentially 2 different factions.
the rogue has gone rogue.
Yeah, so it's crazy. And then, as they get there, Bucky says, you need to visit somebody, and he's talking to the Falcon. And this came out of left field because I was like, what is this? I don't know what's going on. They even divert the plane, and they go to meet this guy that Joe mentioned called Isaiah. And you're like, who is Isaiah? And apparently it's a guy that kicked Winter Soldier's ass when he was an assassin. And you're like, what? Impossible. Like, who? Like a soldier? What are you talking about? Mm-hmm. Like, they would get their ass kicked. And the guy gets fucking mad, and he screams, and he throws something, and it, like, injects in the wall. And you're like, oh, he's a super soldier. Mm-hmm. So he's like, there's more of us out there. And Isaiah's like, I don't want to talk about it. And so anyway, apparently this whole time there's been a black super soldier, a black Captain America, so to speak, but no one knew about it. And he's been fucked over his whole life. Not only has he been hidden, but also he's basically the lab rat. I guess the government has been experimenting him on the whole time, and it just sucks. And the scene doesn't really go anywhere. And hopefully he comes back. I want to see more of Isaiah. I want to know what the hell's going on with Isaiah, because he kicks him out of the house. He's get the fuck out. And I mean, that's not old man strength. You leave, okay? That's my house. You get out of my house, okay, sir? And they get out of the house, but right when they get out of the house, there's cops patrolling because I guess it's a bad neighborhood, and they're like, and by the way, if it's a really bad neighborhood, there haven't been no cops patrolling there. Anyways, cops, whoop, whoop. I see the Falcon. I'm like, oh, here we go. Sir, you had an ID on you. And I'm like, this shit happens. This shit happens all the time. And it's really cool to see it in Marvel. Now, the cop doesn't recognize, here, we had this again. This is the same thing from the bank, right? The cops don't recognize him. They're like, he's, hooligan. I don't know what he thinks. And he's like, let me see your ID. He's racial profiling him. And Bucky's like, are you serious? Do you know who this is? And then the other cop's like, oh shit, that's Falcon. And, through that, though, so you think it's going to be that way, but through that, Bucky is the one arrested. And they're like, is this guy? And the cop was like, is this guy bothering you? I was like, oh my God. And everybody's like, God damn, it's unfortunately, I agree, it's systematic, and in that sense. So he gets arrested, and I'm like, okay, so this is how we're going to get our buddy cop thing. Maybe they're going to have to be under jurisdiction or something. But no, right away, Captain America, the new Captain America shows up and releases them. He's like, yeah, all right, they're with me. Who did this? I did this, right? And then his Bucky's therapist comes and says, the condition of your release is we're going right now into a session, okay? And you too, Falcon. And I was like, I'll wait here. She's like, I'm now. I was like, okay. And that's when we get our cool little scene. So I like the therapy scene. Somebody tell us about the therapy scene, Alex.
She pulls out the dreaded notebook, and then they go over a couple therapy tactics where they're talking about like you wake up and there's a miracle, and then they don't.
What miracle?
Yeah,
would you like
and then they don't want to be part of this, so they are not playing along, and they're like, okay, you guys are gonna stare into each other's eyes.
More
you're
couples
gonna
therapy.
Put your knees into each other's crotches, and then you're gonna and then they have a staring contest, and then we actually do get kind of the meat of the episode where we do understand why there is a little bit of a wedge between them, and it's because Bucky. He has a lot of self-doubt. He's in a lot of really, really, really bad things that he remembers all the time. And he understands that Steve really did believe in Falcon. And that's why he gave him the shield. He's like, look, you're a good man, Sam. This is the most important thing. And he's like, look, Steve really believed in you. And Bucky has to think that Steve was right. Because if he believed in Sam, then Steve also believed that Bucky was a good person too. And so he's trying to earn his salvation, so to speak, through saying like through these other two things, and so we kind of get that.
That was touching. That was good. It made me.
They did nothing with it, which was odd, and so the
therapist, like the scene falls apart.
Yeah.
The therapist is like looking around. It's like the most important breakthrough that you've had for
and the
literally
therapist
years.
Doesn't fucking
and she's
say
just like,
shit.
All right, you can go.
That was the one misstep
I didn't like
in the
that
episode.
either. I
there's
wanted to
two
be like, no,
missteps.
sit your ass down, and we're gonna finish this real quick, or something.
Yeah. So it falls apart. Played more for jokes again. It's like, you know what, man? Forget it. We're just gonna do this one mission.
Yeah.
You and me, we're gonna take a vacation, separate, far from each other. We'll never see each other again. Fine.
But foreshadowing, because you know best friends.
They're going to go to the Bahamas together, and we're going to get selfies on the beach.
All right, that was a little obvious what they're doing there. Yeah. So, but yeah. So. Then the next scene, the Flag Smashers are attempting to escape. They're on the run, and they say, "We have no time. They're here now." And one of the Flag Smashers decides to sacrifice himself in order to prevent to let them escape on a plane. And I don't know who's chasing them. It kind of looks like
suits.
Government. But it could still be like Hydra. Who knows who it is? And the boys still have kind of no idea what to do, what leads to do. They get released from prison. Captain America's standing outside. Whoop whoop! Hey guys, come on over. He's like, God,
trying to be friendly. He's like,
this fucking guy is annoying us, and we go over there. It's like, we need to work together, and he kind of has a point.
He does.
If you're going up against 8 somewhat Captain Americas, and there's only 4 of you, and only one of you has super strength, right? It would.
And
make
you only
sense.
show up when you know where the bad guys are, and you only show up with a helicopter and no guns and no other anything else.
Yeah,
then yes, your
idiot.
plans are
John
stupid.
Wick.
Yeah, you're a
He's
stupid
John Wick.
idiot.
Dumb.
Anyways, they say, look, we're not going to work with you because you're with the government. You have restrictions. And they proved that earlier. They're like, oh, yeah, we hacked into your system. And, oh, we saw everything. And they're like, what are you talking about? You hacked into my system? It's like, no, it's government property. We could see everything you're seeing. And Falcon's like, shit, you're right. Anyways,
he needs to go to Wakanda and get himself non-government.
Well, that's
property.
what I would.
Upgrade
But
that
that
is
makes
better.
no sense. And what do you mean you're a free agent? At the beginning, you're following all. That's the thing I was complaining about at the beginning. That Falcon has to follow all the rules, but now Falcon's a free agent, and these guys have to follow all the rules. Like, no, Falcon has to follow the rules
Yeah.
too. But
That's
no,
why I didn't
now
know.
they're free
I didn't get
agents.
that.
Whatever. So that is another little bit of a conflict there, but in logic. But in order to make the drama there, it makes sense for the set. Look, we're not going to work specifically with you guys because you guys are even closer to the government. You're like rah cheerleader. We're out of here. So they say, we're not working with you. And Captain America, this new Captain America, throws a little bit of a barb. I'm like, oh, is that a tiny
You
bit
ever
of
been threatened by a 4-year-old?
tiny bit of evil there? He was like, all right, well, then just stay the hell out of my way, remember this one thing, stay the hell out of my way. Something like that.
It's
like what do you like?
well, he can't
toothless
intimidate Bucky, but maybe Falcon.
You can't intimidate either
but
of those
without
people.
the wings and go hand.
Nah, Joe, I think Falcon would kick this guy's ass, and Bucky for sure 3 times over.
Yeah.
Falcon does get his ass kicked a lot in this show, but I think he could take Captain America, the new Captain America.
The new Captain America.
So yeah, it was like Alex said, like a little baby. Oh, it's so cute.
Better do what I say, or else it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
I
shut
can
up.
pull the skin off of
Shut
your
up.
body. It's just like I got a metal arm.
Anyway, so then at that point they realized, okay, well, we're not gonna have help from the government. What do we do? How do we approach this? We're talking about super soldiers here. We're talking about Hydra. Let's go see Zemo. And so they go to see Baron Zemo, but then the episode ends right before we get
Of
that.
course.
You just see him in in his cell or whatever. So great episode. Enjoyed it very, very much. And let's go to final verdicts.
I'm gonna give this one an 8. I did like it.
Yes,
but,
sir.
I'm still with the whole. I'm trying to like the new Captain America, but I get it. It's for the show and stuff like that. But I'm not feeling it.
Yeah.
And some of these scenes were cut too abruptly. I wish it would have kind of like held on these and just do some more dialogue with it. But overall, I did enjoy this. This is an 8 for me.
Joe, you better watch out.
Yeah.
You better stay the hell out of my
Yeah,
way.
so I was like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's fumbling it over
Yeah, he's throwing a
everything.
frisbee
You better
instead of
stay the hell out of my way.
So they're just basically going to keep tabs on it. It's like, okay, well, we'll see you when I see you. I'm going to be watching you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Are
right.
you gonna throw your shield really hard?
Well, no, he's just to be like, all right, they're over here. All right, let's go meet up with them over there.
Right.
Because they're hacking, so doesn't
True.
matter.
True.
Yeah, I'm also going to go with an 8. Like, there was obviously some weird logical things, and you could tell that they cut a lot of stuff for the trailer from this episode because there's things in the action scene that don't make any goddamn sense at all. Bucky jumps to the truck in front, and I'm like, oh, maybe these are like self-driving
and
trucks.
that truck just keeps
and
driving.
they just keep driving. I'm like, this is totally normal that a super soldier with a metal arm.
Thank you for bringing that. I was thinking, script doctors, we do our script doctor thing. And just at least have the truck go honk, honk, honk. Something.
No one does a goddamn thing.
Guy just ran across.
And I was like, oh, it's a self-driving truck. But then we see that there are drivers in there. I'm like, this is weird. It was cut together fun. You can do some hand waving if everything else is kind of cohesive, and it is. So it's like we're nitpicking at some of these.
We gotta nitpick because this is at high level.
Yeah, like you've shown that you can do some really amazing things, and this was not up to the level of quality that they showed before. But I think the story writing is, for the most part, okay. We're leaning into this almost unbelievable situations where they do know where the super soldiers are. They show up with 2 guys and a pistol. Period. That's it. It was 2 guys and a pistol. I saw one
that was
pistol.
the dumbest.
And then like there was
Captain.
no one else that shows up, and you have to write it better. You have to present it better. And I know there's always like, well, yes, Doctor Strange could just snap and everyone's dead, but he's the government. At least show up with the rest of the government, and then
Maybe they're saying like he's the Captain America. Do your thing. The old Captain America can handle it himself.
But one
so-
was a
he
super
wasn't-
soldier.
he wa-
This
yeah.
is a dude.
I
This
know.
is Johnny
well,
Walker.
I'm just saying the government's dumb.
Yeah, it's so they need to probably tighten
Government
it up.
is dumb, Joe.
I guess.
All right. Anyways,
Yeah,
so
so
8 out of 10.
8 out of
I
10.
agree. We are in full agreement. 8 out of 10 in the final verdict. It's going up for me. Here we go up, and so I'm very excited about the next episode. I think that can hit the 9-10, especially as we get into the climax. This is only 8 episodes, I think.
6, I think.
Oh, 6. Shit.
Dang.
Here we go. So we're going. Episode 2 was good, and we're gonna go on up here. But here's the thing. At certain points I was like, yeah, 9-10. But then it went back down to an 8, which still sticks the landing for me as an excellent
it's
episode.
still a good place to be.
Makes me very encouraged that we're getting this good here at the beginning. Whereas WandaVision a little lower, and then I understood it in retrospect.
puzzle.
It's a puzzle that needed to be put together. This one's already doing well, and I hope it continues that. And we shall see if it does. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for watching our episode. If you want to support our show, click these links down below. We got some Patreons if you want to go above and beyond the Call of Duty. I also have some new shirts with Rogues Apparel down there. And our board game is out now. Street Fighter, the miniatures game. If you want the best, most impressive miniatures
figures
and a really fun
ever.
game, pick up that game now. Click on that link below and order it. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. We shall see you on the next Angry Joe Show.
Bye, guys.